Hey there, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
It's Brian and Keith here again. Today is our brainstorming day.
From Less Magic, More Gathering.
Oh yeah, Less Magic, More Gathering. Well, if you've been watching, you know we are. If not, welcome to our channel.
Speaking of our channel, real quick before we get started on our video. If you look at our subscription total and we're under 200, that means we still have other videos where we've got giveaways going on. We need to get our subscriber count up, so we're giving away some cards. I'm going to put a link in the description and a link at the end of the video to a couple of those so that we can hopefully get our subscription count up and give some cards away. We've been trying for a couple weeks and we've been growing pretty steadily. We really appreciate the support from everybody, and we just need a little bit more. We're almost halfway to 100, which will be our first giveaway. So I don't want to take too much time on that, but I just wanted to remind everybody. So now on to our
deck tech. Not deck tech. Brainstorm. That's like next
It's a brainstorm for a deck tech.
Close enough.
At the end of our last deck tech video, we chose a random card, and we got this week Timestream Navigator.
Timestream Navigator.
A mythic rare from Rivals of Ixalan. Edwards, what's the price on that?
Well, hold on, folks. Let's just keep talking, because I'm going to have to... Actually, I just looked at it. It's like $2.50, $3 maybe.
So it's pretty cheap for a mythic. It's a 2-drop 1/1. It has an ability, once you reach the city's blessing, you can pay 4 and move it to the bottom of your library to take an extra turn.
Ooh, extra turn.
Over the weekend, we both came up with some ideas, and I think Edwards is better. So I'm going to talk about mine real quick while he's looking that up. It's not going to be the one we're going to go with, but it's going to kind of be where we start. My idea was to use the Timestream Navigator along with some energy production and multiplying effects to create unlimited Doctors with Whirler Virtuoso and Panharmonicon. You can look at those cards here, and but then I realized that that deck really wasn't centered on the idea of using Timestream Navigator. So I talked to Edwards, and go ahead and explain your deck that we're going to actually try and build here once we take a look at some cards.
Okay, well, so I read the card and just kind of like using it as the base for this deck, of course. And so getting an extra turn obviously is very valuable in this game. And so I thought a little bit deeper, thinking, so one extra turn, what else can I do to possibly give myself an additional turn or use that to my advantage? And so I thought Combat Celebrant, which is obviously an exert card, but it allows you a second combat phase. So therefore, if you have the correct combo in play, you will possibly have 3 turns in a row of attack phases, which in any game format is fairly devastating. Then just have to come up with stuff that's going to go well with that. Being the fact that you're going to have more combat phases, you need your opponents to not have any defensive creatures out there, or not any way for them to block the attack that you're bringing at them 3 times. So then the unblockable option comes into play for that. So that's kind of what we're working with, what I was looking into. Not sure exactly what we're going to fill in those voids, but that's what we're here for today, to do some the brainstorming. There's options with the counters and having the Secret of Herald Streams, or Herald of Spigot Streams, where creatures with counters are unblockable. That's an option we can go with for that. That's also blue, so we're already in that color category. I think a friend of ours, co-worker, was talking some of that options with us, possibly even going green-blue with the majority of it and just splashing the red to get the Combat Celebrant in there. So that's what we can think about doing. You got any ideas yourself, Keith, where you can add to that, possibly?
I like the idea of having the multiple combat phases. So when you said that, I started thinking about, okay, how can we untap Combat Celebrant so that we can have maybe the option of having a combat phase, exerting Combat Celebrant, having another combat phase, and then using Time Seeker or Timestream Navigator to have another turn where the Celebrant's untapped, and have 2 combat phases again. So if we do that, we're going to have to, I mean, if we get too many ideas going, we're going to have to drop something off.
Right.
So I was thinking we shift away from the counters, stick with the unblockables, get a few of those unblockable creatures because they're cheap. We can get them out there fast at the beginning of the game, and then when we need that extra mana later to do something like untap all our creatures and pay for Timestream Navigator, we could do that later, but we've got to get to that point.
Roger. You obviously need the city's blessing, so you
So I
still
was
have to
thinking
have the
something
permanents.
like wrangle. We could wrangle our own combat celebrant to untap everything.
Yeah, I think we mentioned you mentioned that earlier, and we looked it up. And
I
I'm
looked
pretty
up
sure
the
you
rules.
can do it.
Yeah, you can. The rules say wrangle can target any creature with power 4 or less, even one that you already control or one that is already untapped. So
Well,
we
there
could
you
do
go.
that. And then there was another talk while I'm looking this card up.
So that's, I think, probably going to be a better combo. The counters is nice to have, but that you're also adding way too much, and there's already plenty of unblockable creatures that you can do things to. So yeah, I think we're just going to negate the counter option and go with the wrangle option, because getting multiple uses out of a card that gives you multiple combat phases is probably the heck of a way to go.
And wrangle's it's just a 2-drop.
Yes,
So
quick
for
2-drop.
6 mana, you can have 2 combat phases, and then have another turn and have another combat phase.
Right. So, yeah, like I said, if you have that
Or
happen,
you can have 2 combat phases, another turn, 2 combat phases again.
yeah,
If you're, because it's going to cost you 2 to play wrangle to untap your combat celebrant, and 4 to get another turn with Timestream Navigator.
yeah. So you'll have to play the 6.
So we need to go with small creatures. We're in red-blue. We need to go with small creatures because we've got to get enough stuff out there that we can get the city's blessing. Otherwise, none of this matters.
So we're going to stick with unblockable ones as some of our small creatures, or did you want to go with just creatures in general?
I think we can go with some of those unblockables,
Okay. I mean, there's
And-
quite a few of them out there.
then find ways to pump those up
Right.
so that our 4 combat phases are worth it.
All right. And I already had a red. If we're kind of sticking with the red blue, or we go maybe green and do the splash, but I don't. It's up to you if you want to. If you think we should just stick with 2 colors. But I already put the deck that you've seen me play a couple times at work that had a lot of Merfolk unblockables, and then of course the newer ones, the Stormfleet Sprinter, which is red blue, and it's a 2/2 haste. But then you also have the Slippery Scoundrel along with the City's Blessing, gives you the hexproof option, so that's unblockable 2/2. But the trick to that is the new card off the Ixalan. I can't even think. Not the Rivals, the one that gives your pirates a +1/+1 and double strike. So if they all happen to be pirates,
Yeah,
that
Buccaneers
are swinging,
Bravado.
Buccaneers Bravado. So therefore, you're swinging for 6 at least on one turn.
Yeah.
For one of those guys, and if you got 2 of them, then it's 8. But then the next combat turn, maybe you won't get another Buccaneers Bravado, but you're still swinging for another 4.
Dramatic Reversal was the other one. Dramatic Reversal untaps all non-land permanents you control.
Nice.
So, and that's another, it's only a 2-drop.
Yeah.
And if we, Buccaneers Bravado is a 2-drop too, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then if we do something like Tulanali's Crown,
Okay.
that gives your, so let's say with just those 3 cards, you got a Stormfleet Sprinter,
Right.
comes in, you put a crown on it, that gives it a +3/+3, so now it's a 5/2, or a +3/+0, now it's a 5/2. We go into combat, swing, use a Buccaneers Bravado,
It's now 12.
that's 12 damage right there from that one creature for 6 mana.
And that's just the first turn.
That's 1 combat phase.
Yeah. And if you have the Celebrant out there, then it's automatically the second phase, but still, yeah. Before. Now, what is the one that does that untaps all creatures? It taps everything you have, or all permanents, or what was the one?
Dramatic Reversal?
Is it everything, all permanents, or just
All non-land permanents.
so non-land? So you can't play lands again.
Right.
All right, so that's one way to get him untapped, so that you can use him again. As far as like, I'm trying to think what is that going to do in that situation though, because he can't obviously re-exert during the same turn. He can only do it once per turn.
Right. But you want him untapped when you go to your next turn,
Yeah, so you don't have to spend the money to get him tapped or untapped.
so that you can exert him again to
Right.
have 2 combat phases on
Okay.
that second turn.
Okay, I like it.
So if we do like dramatic reversal and wrangle, maybe 3 of each.
Just so that we have options.
Right, there's
Yeah.
more than one option to get him untapped.
Okay.
And then let's look up what creatures. I know you had talked about the Stormfleet Sprinter.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good one. Do you want to do the Bloodlust Insider, or maybe a combination of the Bloodlust Insider and the Strider Harness?
Oh yeah, I was talking about that earlier. Or we were on video, but we talked about that earlier today.
Nice thing about Strider Harness too is it's another
permanent
permanent
for the Ascend. Yeah.
So we could maybe even do 3 of each of those, just so that we know once we get that City's Blessing, we should have an option to give the Timestream Navigator haste, because that's going to become a target.
Yes. And that would only cost us 1 additional. So if you have the Strider Harness out there for its fee early on, then you get to put it right on him and go. So yeah, that's an option.
Some other things I know when we first saw the deck we had thought about was finding ways to copy.
Yep.
There's Protean Raider. It's a 3-drop 2/2 pirate. It fits into the pirate theme you had talked about.
Right.
2-drop 3/3 or 3-drop 2/2. Dyslexia is fun. And if you attack with a creature that turn, it comes in as a copy of any other creature.
Okay. So yeah,
So
we could just swing with one of the unblockables. We don't have to swing with anything. So
Sure.
So it's a raid. Is it a raid? Is that why you have to have a raid? So you got to swing
Yeah.
with something.
Yep.
So yeah.
But I see that as another copy of Combat Celebrant.
Yeah.
You exert the first one in your first combat phase. You exert the other one in your next combat phase. Is that a legendary though?
No.
Combat Celebrant?
But when it comes in as a copy, it's another card. I guess it has to say legendary.
It's not.
It's not. I
No.
don't think it was.
So
yeah.
you could then have 3 combat phases in a turn.
Yeah, I guess it all depends on what your game plan is, because you just never know if you're going to need to use the Combat Celebrant as the copy or the Water Stream or Timestream Navigator. So either one would work. But yeah, I could. That's a real good option.
So if you had both of them,
And what is that one? The copies again? Is it the Vizier mini? Or is it something else?
no, it's from Rivals, Protean Raider.
Oh, that's yeah. That's why I don't think of it, because I'm not used to all the new ones yet. What does Vizier of Many Faces have any option as far as the mimic portion? I thought that's what that did.
He does. Let's see what
Would he
does.
benefit any differently than Protean Raider? Protean Raider sounds like a good one though.
Vizier of Many Faces is you can have it enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, except if it was embalmed. The token has no mana cost. It's white and it's a zombie in addition to its other types. So
And it's expensive though, isn't it?
that's a 4-drop
Yeah.
0/0. So, but it does have the embalm ability, so you can bring it back if somebody kills it.
Can you still use the mimic portion of it after that point though, or no? Or does it have to?
Yes, the embalmed version of it has the same ability, so it'll come in as a copy of something else.
Okay, that's true. I guess. I mean, it's an option. It is a little more expensive. The Protein Raider is only 3-drop, but you still have to attack. So we'll leave that on like the back burner. Either one of those, depending on how it fits in with our mana balance.
And then there was Sahili Rai, whatever.
Rai.
Sahili Rai.
And she's the one that allows you to copy.
You can create a token that's a copy of target artifact or creature you control, except it's an artifact in addition to its other type. It gains haste. Oh, you exile it at the beginning of the next end step.
So that would.
That might not be worth it. Unless you could get her up high enough that you could use that multiple times. Or if you're just wanting the ability to use your Timestream Navigator without losing it.
And you don't, you get him on the field, and if he does get killed, he does get killed. I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things where you copy him, use that one with haste if we have it.
Yeah.
Especially with Strider Harness or even the Bloodlust Insider, because you can equip it on there. But with that creature being exiled, the enchantment or the artifact should still stay on the field.
Well, this one
right?
gets haste. The token gains haste.
Oh, so it doesn't need it. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, so that bumps it up. So that's one way. And that could go with either way. You could copy Combat Celebrant if you want to just use the token as an option. I mean, heck, you could have her out there, copy that one, use that one, and then the one you already copied with Protean Raider, use that.
Yeah, you could I mean, with these options, you could get up to 4 or 5 combat phases per turn.
Yeah.
If you use, let's say, Sahili Rai, you use a Protean Raider, and another card we had talked about, Mirage Mirror.
Yeah.
So you pay 2 and make another copy of it.
Yeah.
Then,
Or hold the Mirage Beer back just in case they decide to blitz the original Combat Celebrant and copy it so it's still on the field to play for the next time.
Yeah. Well, it's only until end of turn.
Oh, I thought it kept it until you changed it.
No, it's until end of turn.
Is there a card that does that?
Just these creatures that are coming in as copies.
It might have been a modern card that somebody used one time. But okay. So yeah, I guess that's one way. So we'll definitely have multiple copies and multiple versions to do so, but we still are sitting at the protection barrier. So obviously, some of these things are going to get attacked by possible control decks or other things. So I think, being that we're blue, Dive Down needs to be in here.
Yeah,
protect it from,
on the one I put together on my app here, I've got Dive Down, 4 copies of it.
That's a must.
And we could even go with a couple, maybe even as many as 4 copies of, like a Negate.
Negate, yes, to stop it. Other than the Telenani, is that just for attacking creatures? The one that gives it a +3/+3, or is it any time?
All the time. It's an enchantment.
Okay, and does it have flash?
No.
What's the one? Isn't there a one that has a flash? Does Swashbuckle have flash? Something I thought had a flash, and this is only me thinking outside the box because sometimes when they hit you with like Lightning Bolt or Lightning Strike or whatever it is that does 3 or even 4 damage or something, being that Combat Celebrant's only 1, and I think that Timestream Navigator's a 2, they could.
Timestream Navigator's a 1/1.
So yeah, so we need something to give it a little more strength to get over that 3 damage target. Obviously we can't stop Walk the Plank and Fatal Push without Negate or Hexproof, but. This is just an additional possible spells that we might need to put in there to protect stuff, but we still don't want to get too far in the spell zone because we're not gonna have enough creatures. We need to figure out what else.
We gotta find the balance.
And
you're looking for flash, red, or blue spells that add defensive numbers.
at least 3, which is the shitty part because there's not very many because neither one of them is going to survive the Lightning Strike.
Ether Meltdown wouldn't be any good. Sea Legs. I mean, we've got Pirates.
Yeah,
that
gives them
gives
3.
A pirate +2 as long as it's a pirate and train a creature gets +2. If it's not, it gets -2, -0.
That's one of those things that might help us in the long run, I guess, because you can enchant somebody else's creature so that they don't damage your creature and you kill them, and vice versa.
The hard thing is making a deck that is going to be good against everything. I mean, this deck, with the way it has so many funky quirks, is probably going to be something that's going to be, that we play at lunch or you play with your friends at the kitchen table. But
yeah,
taking something like this to Friday Night Magic might be. You might just not have any fun with it.
But we got to find our way outside of the mold of all these stupid net decks that everybody can do. I say stupid like they don't work, but they work great, obviously. There's a reason why people, copy them. But
we just like being more creative.
Yeah, we're a creative bunch of guys. So, and I agree, you probably need, a teammate to help you get over the threshold. But I think if we put enough annoying little ticky-tacky, 1-drops out there and stuff like that, the unblockables that, really drive people nuts, that might help keep them away from from casting spells on the ones we want.
Yeah.
In there.
Well, another thing we could do. Why don't we do like 4 copies of Dive Down?
Okay.
4 copies of your Negate, and then maybe throw in some Siren Storm Tamers.
Oh, that's the one. Okay, yeah, that's the creature that you can sack.
It's a flying 1/1, but you can pay a blue and sacrifice it to counter a spell or ability that's targeting you or one of your permanents. So it makes them get rid of that before they can get rid of something else.
I like it.
And it's only a 1-drop. So we've talked about a lot of stuff. So we need to figure out
our general breakdown. I
mean,
even if we throw in if we just start saying 4 copies of everything, kind of how I do with that when I'm on tapped out and whatnot. I don't know if I should say that, but it doesn't really matter if I'm on that.
Fine.
If I'm on that webpage, I like to just give myself 4 copies of everything because I don't know where I want to be, and then when I have it set up, I go down and start subtracting. So okay, this is what I wanted to do.
Yeah, and that's a good way to start out because you want your deck to be as consistent as possible. But sometimes you just have to put some other stuff in there to make your deck.
This has to go in there
so it doesn't suck. So we said Strider harness we were going to add?
Yeah.
I'm going to put how many copies you think? 3?
You said you wanted to try 3 and 3, the Bloodlust Insider and the Strider Harness, just to
Alright.
give us options on haste.
Let's look at our numbers here. If we do 3 Bloodlust Insiders and 3 Strider harness, and then we said 3 of the... We said 4 dive downs and 4 negate.
Yep.
So let's add negate to our list here. I know nobody can see what I'm doing right now, but essentially I use the app, I think it's called MTG Unofficial, and I've upgraded to the Pro version so I can create as many decks on here as I want. I can search for all the cards by keywords and things. So I'm just adding these cards to my deck that I've built on here so that I can see how our numbers are going to line up. And that's really a good way to start out. I'm assuming that if you're watching this video intently, that you're just kind of starting out learning to build decks. That's kind of our goal here. That's why we do the random cards, so that as we go through building these decks, you guys will get a better idea of how we go about putting things together that makes sense and make a deck that's at least going to be fun, and it might even be competitive.
And sometimes when I put some decks together, this is how I kind of just come to an idea. I think of an idea and I'm like, you know what, that would be cool to see that happen. Even if the deck I put together when I play with friends and the guys at work doesn't pan out and doesn't win me a game or two, I still like want to tweak it and then get to that point where that thing I was wanting to see happen, I get it. It's like, oh yeah, that was the coolest thing ever. Did you see me just beat you guys with two cards? Yeah, you like that? And then I can, talk shit for a day or two and then come back to getting my ass beat. So that's how I do it.
I just ran into another card that we almost have to add, I think. So let's say our turn 1, or our first combat phase, we've got a Warkite Marauder out there.
Ooh. The one I was making fun of.
It attacks all the not all. Target creature they control loses all of its abilities and becomes a 0/1 until end of turn. So that way, if they block one of our 1 defense creatures,
we kill the shit out of it.
It won't kill it. But then that's until end of turn. So if we're going to have another combat phase, and then maybe even another and another combat phase, those will still be 0/1s, and every time this attacks, you can make a different creature a 0/1.
As long as it's not end of turn, we can, yeah.
Because if we're just repeating combat phases, we're never ending the turn.
No. We're never ending the turn.
So that could be fun.
Yep.
I just saw one on your screen over there.
Talk about that. Too bad this one's expensive, but that would make things much quicker.
What is it?
The Ingrass Marauders, the fact that any permanent you control it would deal damage to a player, it deals double that damage instead. So, it's a 7-drop, but having that out there with the unblockables. So instead of dealing like the normal 4 or 5 from unblockables, it's 9, 10, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But he's so damn expensive.
That is expensive.
What was it you saw me flip through?
The hippopotamus guy, right here.
He's a Minotaur.
Oh.
On Crop Crasher. That's an excellent card. I'm sure everybody's playing Standard right now. May or may not have used it, but it's one heck of a card. Simple, 3-drop, and it comes in field play with haste, and the target creature can't block this turn. So obviously it's very effective if you have a creature that can be blocked along with your unblockables. That's part of that swinging combat phase. So every turn, he has to exert obviously for that to happen, but when we untap, then every time he does swing, he gets to do it again.
Well, you could exert him every time you use your combat celebrant, he's untapping, so you can exert every time.
And he still has haste. Yeah.
And again, if we're going to have multiple combat phases, that can't block this turn.
Yeah.
Goes over to all those other combat phases.
Because he works in that way, because combat celebrant you can only exert once per turn, but this guy doesn't apply in the same aspect.
What if we drop in a couple of those? I'm at 58 cards right now with lands. So let's drop in a couple of, what's he called?
On Crop Crasher.
AHN?
Mm-hmm.
And then we can see if there's anything we want to cut.
Yeah, we can do some adjustments. Based on what we've already put in there, I guess we're sitting at a good combo, so that's not bad.
I put it at 24 lands, 10 because the mana is almost perfectly even.
perfectly.
Maybe I think you've got one more blue mana symbol in all of our cards, so it's very even. So I went 10 island, 10 mountain, 4 Spire Bluff Canal, 24 total lands.
You had to go with Spire Bluff. You couldn't have gone with the cheap one.
I don't do cheap.
I know.
Alright, so if that's our lands, then our creatures would be 2 copies of the Uncrop Crasher, 3 copies of the Bloodlust Insider, 3 copies of the Combat Celebrant, 2 copies of Protean Raider. Some of the stuff that does like the same thing other things do, like the Protean Raider, Saheeli Rai, Mirage Mirror, those are all meant to copy. I didn't do as many copies of those because we'll have the option.
Yeah, too many of the same one. Yeah, I mean,
4 copies of Siren Storm Tamer, 4 copies of the Timestream Navigator, 3 copies of the Warkite Marauder, 2 copies of Saheeli Rai, 2 copies of Mirage Mirror, 3 copies of Strider Harness, 4 Dive Down, 4 Negate.
Sounds good.
Is there anything you'd change on that?
Well, not right now. I don't know. I mean, I think it's a good combination of what we're talking about, the effectiveness of the multiple turns or attack phases. Just getting that as what our intent is. I think we're good. So, like I said, this is just a brainstorming. We got our numbers, but we will get this stuff collected and find maybe just throw it together in a game here or two during the week. You may or may not see it in the video beforehand as we're trying to test it, but then either way, we'll do some adjustments, throw together the possible side.
You can do it, buddy. Sound it out.
I say side deck all the time, but it's not called side deck. It's I always forget. You're gonna have to help me.
No, I'm not going to. I'm gonna make you come up with it. It's good for video.
Because I talk about it like rarely, so when I'm trying to think of it, I totally forget what it's called. I could be on video for 20 minutes trying to think of this.
Between games, you get in your little box and you pull cards from your
I don't even know.
Side.
Son of a bitch. I feel like all I think is deck, because they're playing with a deck. Sideboard. Oh my god. Woo! Oh, that was so hard.
I hope you're not mad at me later for that.
I'll live. But either way, we'll set some stuff up for the sideboard to see what kind of things would benefit if and when we're playing somebody. It's going to be probably stuff like graveyard shit, because that's the big thing right now. And not that I want to.
So afraid of the graveyard.
Not that I shoot, man. I got devastated last week.
I did too.
Not that I want to take it in this week, which we probably won't take it to play standard tomorrow because we weren't really big on last week. It was kind of one of those one-time things, or just to see how it went. So I doubt we'll go unless you really, really want to.
It's hard to come up with a competitive deck like over the weekend.
Some of these decks are still fun and ingenious in a certain way, but to compete with the standard, net deck tally of people there, it's hard to go in and think you're going to win.
Yeah, it depends on who you play with. If your normal competition is Friday Night Magic or other tournament formats, then you're probably not watching this video wanting to learn how to build this deck anyway.
Yeah. You're like, screw these guys.
But if you just like to play with your friends and have fun, and there's no real, competitiveness to it, you just want to enjoy the game, then that's the people I think we're targeting.
Right.
Because the decks we build you're not gonna find them anywhere else probably. If you do, it was completely coincidence.
Right. This is all random, and we're just putting stuff together. But take what we have, and if you like something, and you can even tweak it yourself. I mean, we haven't established the full the deck tech for this yet, but we'll get that here in a few days. But I mean, just think about it. You find one of these sweet decks that we put together. I say sweet because I love them all. I don't really care. But take it to your group setting, your lunchtime magic or whatever you do, and then you suddenly bring some strange deck that they've never seen before, and they're completely dumbfounded because you just kicked them in the teeth. That's what we're trying to do here. We love it. We enjoy the game. So,
all right, I think we're done for today. We've got a good idea where we're going. We may make a few changes between now and Thursday when we post the actual deck tech video. Make sure you subscribe. If you've got any suggestions for this deck, feel free to post them or find us on Twitter at LMMG2018 and let us know.
Don't forget to check out the other videos. Still giveaways.
We got lots of giveaways. Check the links. Deuces.
Deuces. I don't think they're going to see the camera, but it's okay.
They're not.